Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, 2020 RLI Land Technology Accelerator Program Showcase. My name is Amanda Maroney and I'm the Education Manager for RLI and I'll be your host for today. The Realtors Land Institute, the Voice of Land, continually strives to maintain its status as the acknowledged leader for all matters pertaining to the land real estate profession. RLI endeavors to remain the essential membership organization for the extraordinary real estate professionals who broker, lease, sell, develop, and manage our most precious resource, the land. We're here to provide our members the expertise, camaraderie, and resources that are the foundation for all land real estate professionals to become the best in the business. While this webinar does not count as credit toward RLI's Elite Accredited Land Consultant ALC designation, it is filled with valuable expertise. This Land Technology Accelerator Program Showcase webinar spotlights our 2020 top new technology partners, RealX and LandSearch. During this webinar, they will showcase the latest technologies available in the land real estate industry that can help land agents to grow their businesses and close more deals. We'd love to hear from you during today's presentation, and we will leave time at the end of the hour for questions. So please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box throughout the presentation, and they will be answered at the end of today's session. As for our first partner, we have Luke Glass with RealX. RealX is an exchange that connects landowners with buyers who want to acquire or lease specific property rights, including surface rights for solar, wind, timber, cell towers, agriculture, and selling or leasing subsurface rights for oil and gas, minerals, and more. RealX's mission is to help unlock the value of every property by partnering with realtors. Luke, please tell us more about RealX.
Thank you, Amanda. It's an honor to be here today, and always an honor to partner with RLI in this space. And thanks for the Technology Accelerator Award. And I'm going to share my screen so we can get started. Amanda, at any point, if you can't see my screen or can't hear me, please stop me, and we'll get it straightened back out.
Okay.
Well, good. Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Glass. I am the CEO and co-founder of RealX. And I know we can all be a little zoomed out, so thank you for taking the time today. Between school Zoom and work Zooms and church Zooms, I think we've all hit our limit. But thanks again for taking the time today to join us. So solar farms on properties, wind farms, timber rights, oil and gas rights, cellular towers. There are thousands of companies that want access to your client's land. So how do your clients get access to these lucrative deals, and how do you earn a commission on putting these deals together? It's RealX. RealX is the nation's first and largest property rights exchange to transact these property rights. So with an exchange, there's always two sides. On one side of our exchange are the landowners that you know and you represent in our system. And on the other side of the exchange are the thousands of buyers who want access to that property. Today, we have over 6 million acres registered in the RealX exchange. That's roughly the size of Massachusetts. It's always hard to get a sense of how many acres that represents. And as Amanda mentioned in the beginning, it includes surface rights for solar, wind, and timber, and also subsurface rights for oil and gas, water, and other minerals. Each of you now has the ability to register your client's land in RealX. Every one of you on the phone knows someone with 20 acres or more. You know people with thousands of acres. Perhaps you also know commercial developers that have access to rooftops of their commercial buildings. Anything 30,000 square foot and above is ideal for rooftop solar, as an example. This is a $50 billion asset class that has been largely untapped by real estate professionals. So I want to jump right in and take a look at what buyers see when they log into the RealX interface. So what you see here is a search for available solar acres in the state of Pennsylvania. And you can see that we have 33 tracts if you look in the upper left-hand side of the screen, with the largest tract being 544 acres and I believe that ranges all the way down to about a 10-acre lot in Pennsylvania as well. So the first question is how do these acres get into our system? We get some of them from big institutional investors and companies, but our primary model for getting these acres in the system is partnering with realtors like you around the country who represent these landowners in our system. You sign a listing agreement with the landowner just like you would to sell their land or sell their home, but you're registering to sell their property rights. So this is for people who currently own their land and are looking to generate additional income from their existing properties. You sign that registration agreement with them at an agreed upon commission rate, just like you do in typical real estate. The second question we get is, well, is it easy? And so all you're really capturing is the intent of your landowners. You know the address and how many acres it is, the owner's name, and then you're really just going through a host of questions. Are you willing to put solar on your land? Are you willing to have a wind farm on your land? Are you willing to sell or lease your oil and gas rights? And we have a whole list of questions that go all the way down to hunting and fishing licenses, whether or not the landowner would be willing to sell or lease those to a third party. And so there is no work to be done after you've registered the properties. So unlike traditional real estate, there are no signs, no showings, no photography, no drones. It's no work until a deal comes in, and then you would obviously work with your seller on negotiating and closing that deal in the system. So third, where do the buyers come from? So we have companies across oil and gas, solar, timber, and cellular that come. This is a real-life example of what a solar developer would see on the screen if they were looking for acres in Pennsylvania. This particular tract is over 500 acres, which would be suitable for utility-scale solar. We also know that there's a substation on this property. So there's lots of other attributes that we allow our buyers to look at that allows them to really hone in on what they're looking for in a given market. So to make this real life, there's really two ways for a solar company to find acres in Pennsylvania. One is they can send out postcards to everyone in the county. They can have interns doing cold calls to landowners to ask them if they're interested. They actually hire landmen, boots on the ground, to go out and knock on doors and look for people looking for solar. The other way to do it now that RealX is live is for them to log in from their home office on the West Coast, typically, find available acres in the RealX database, and be connected with that landowner in the same day. So it really cuts down that process for them to find the available acreage in our system. And this is really where we think you can provide the biggest advantage to your clients. Because if you look at this map, are there other acres around this tract that would be suitable for solar as well? Absolutely. But if you're a solar developer and you already know this tract, you know you can be connected with the owner in the same day, why would you try to track down all the other tracts around this one that might also be suitable? So what we have found is our solar developers come to RealX first, see if they can find the available acres they need, and this is really going to give your clients an advantage over their neighbors that have land surrounding them to really cash in on these lucrative deals. We have buyers in the database every day searching for available properties. And look, they love it because they no longer have to send postcards, cold call, hire people to go knock on doors. This gives them easy access to available acres in the areas that they really want. And even more powerful, those buyers are able to log in and tell us where they want to look. So we can tell you, as our realtor community partners, that we have 10 solar developers looking for land outside of the Philadelphia market, as an example. So it really allows us to take a buyer audience that we know is ready, willing, and able, and tell you exactly what they're targeting in certain markets. I thought one of the most powerful things I could do today was focus on real deals that are happening in the exchange to give you a sense of what's happening across the United States. We just closed 300 acres for community solar in Western New York. They signed that deal last week. The owner registered those acres in our system about 3 months ago. And within 2 weeks, the solar developer had reached out and inquired about the property. This is a 20-year lease, initial term. The rent payments over those 20 years are over $2 million for this size of acreage in Western New York. So this is a deal that was really lucrative for the landowner and generates a commission for the realtor that would have registered this property. So just to give you a sense of the deal size for what's going on out there on solar. This particular solar developer has also logged into RealX. They've identified 13 different states where they're willing to do solar deals if we can bring them the right land through our realtor network. One example would be they picked every single county surrounding Pittsburgh, which is where I'm located today, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They believe that the Senate will pass a House bill in Pennsylvania that brings some real tax incentives for community solar. And so they've targeted every county that touches the greater Pittsburgh region. And as soon as that bill passes, there'll be a real frenzy of activity in this market from not only them, but many of our solar developers. Just a few points of context around solar. Like, it's going to grow 5 to 10x over the next 10, 20, 30 years. We're going to go from 5% of our power in the United States from solar to 30, 40, 50% over the next decades. This is really going to continue to grow. Community solar is going to grow the fastest. Community solar really means 30, 40, 50 acres. And it's cheaper for the developers. They don't need big substations. And it ultimately ends up being able to provide solar power cheaper than someone putting rooftop panels on their own house, as an example. So community solar ends up being the most economical, and that's one of the reasons it's the fastest growing forms of solar in the country. And as I said, policy is going to continue to drive adoption across solar in the United States as more and more state and local governments push for more renewable energy. There are deals getting done in the oil and gas sector, despite what you may be seeing on the news with negative oil prices, layoffs, and bankruptcies. A vast majority of our energy in the United States still comes from oil and gas. We do think that'll decrease over the next 30 years, but it'll still be a significant source of energy for our country. We just closed on 30 acres for mineral rights in the Appalachian Basin. They sold for about $5,000 an acre, so it was approximately a $150,000 deal that closed. So while activity is down overall in the oil and gas sector, it's just such a huge space with tens of billions of dollars changing hands each year on these deals. There's still a big market that's active and is going to come back, I think, and return to normalcy, in the next 6 or 12 months. So there are oil and gas mineral right deals that are still happening in the space, regardless if they're leasing new land or if you have a producing well on your property and you want to sell your mineral rights with that producing well. There's still activity, more on the latter than the former. And I know I'm talking to a land group today, but I know a lot of you on the phone today know commercial building owners that have 30,000 square feet of roof space or more. This is a really lucrative market. You can expect anywhere between $1 to $1.50 per square foot per year. So 100,000 square foot rooftop would generate somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 of revenue per year for your client if you can get these commercial rooftops registered in the system. I'm currently working on a 100,000 square foot rooftop deal in Maryland at the moment. The developer is pulling together the proposal now for the building owner. And this particular rooftop developer has raised $50 million of capital, and their directive has been to deploy it as quickly as possible. So if I had a lot more rooftops in the Virginia, DC, Maryland market or in the California market, but really this model works most places in the country for this particular company. So rooftops also really important if you have a database of commercial brokers, commercial landowners who have rooftop access. So I talked a little bit about the market locally, right? Western New York, deals getting closed, Maryland, Appalachia, but these deals are closing in all 50 states out there. Different parts of the country have differing property rights, obviously. So oil and gas is very specific to, kind of the middle of the country, Appalachia, Texas region, the Gulf Coast. Timber can be southeast focused or northwest focused in a lot of places. Solar is going to grow everywhere. Rooftop cellular is going to grow everywhere. So there are certain property rights that are going to be kind of in all marketplaces. And not to forget, there's another $50 billion of royalties and rents paid each year to these landowners. So a lot of your clients already have producing oil and gas wells or a producing wind farm or producing solar farm. They can absolutely sell those royalty streams or sell those rights and get cash today if they need to, whether it's to settle an estate, whether it's because they need cash to invest in something else. We have financial buyers in the system as well that are willing to buy those revenue streams. So if you're interested, this is how to get in contact with us, and I'll make the close as simple as I can. First, this really helps your clients generate income from the properties that they already own. So you're going to provide a new service to them and provide access to an exchange that they've never had access to before. Second, it generates additional income for yourself. Now you have an entirely new asset class that you can go out to your existing contacts and leverage that trust that you've built in your communities over the last 5, 10, 20 years. You can now be the trusted professional that helps represent your clients in this exchange and generate additional income for yourself that has largely been untapped before this for you. And then third, you can get started with RealX with no upfront fees. So unlike other companies that want a piece of your commission to help you grow your company, we're all about just expanding the commission pie, the gross commission income available to you. There are no fees to you to get started. There are no fees to the landowner to register. Everything's built on the idea of there's a success fee that everyone shares in when a deal gets done. So again, no upfront fees to get started. At the core of what we do, this exchange was built for you and your clients because we want to make sure that you're able to leverage your relationships and help your clients and ultimately unlock the value of every property in the system. Every property has availability to do some of these property rights on them. In fact, some of your properties will have the ability to do multiple things on them, including surface and subsurface. We do have a property in New York that currently has windmills on it, and now they're leasing solar panels as well on the same property. So with that, you can reach out to us at realx.io, or you can contact Chris Noonan at chris@realx.io directly, as emails on the screen, or feel free to connect with RealX on LinkedIn or myself. Again, my name is Luke Glass, the CEO and co-founder of RealX, and we look forward to partnering with you and your clients to get some of these deals done for you and your clients. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luke. Next, we have Michael Leigeber with LandSearch. LandSearch is a mobile-first platform with an intuitive experience and forward-thinking business model. They create a central destination that assembles land education, discovery, financing, acquisition, and improvement into a modern data-driven platform. Michael, please tell us more about LandSearch.
Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the Accelerator and to present again today. I have a little bit of time to show maybe more of the site and talk about our roadmap. Real quick, in terms of my background, my name is Michael Leigeber. I'm the founder of LandSearch. I grew up in Alabama, lived in Tennessee for years, but Colorado Springs is where our company's based now. I've worked in tech and marketing my entire career. I co-founded a digital marketing agency in Nashville previously. And with that agency, I worked with a lot of clients in the outdoor industry and saw opportunities in land marketing I wanted to build on. So that was my passion for land has led to LandSearch. It took us a long time to get to market. We wanted to bring something unique to the table. We actually ran a survey early on, and it's been critical for us to address those needs along the way. We learned that price and customer service were major complaints with the largest platforms, and that the ability to sort through all of the advertising hierarchy made for a really frustrating buyer and seller experience. The top requested features that we heard were listing volume, mobile friendliness, SEO, advanced filtering, flexible media options, having parcel boundaries and data, and really focusing on a map-based search. We still have a long way to go, but what we've created is a scalable marketplace that we believe has the best user experience and hopefully the most attractive business model while keeping all of these broker concerns in mind. Looking at the website, if you tuned into our original NLC presentation, you've seen some of the site, but we've been very hard at work since March to polish things, and we've begun ramping up into our marketing initiatives. After just been on the live for a few months, June is on target to be our first month exceeding 1 million monthly page views, which is the first small milestone of many towards gaining meaningful market share. Our goal is really to be the destination for all land. We don't exclusively market towards a particular category of land, focusing equally on rec, commercial, residential, and farmland. We believe that listing volume is important to user experience. So we do have around 400,000 properties now and 10 million acres listed. And that's something that will be continually growing. In particular, in the next couple of months, we'll be adding quite a few listings. Keep in mind that our site only markets land-centric properties, unlike some other platforms that might market larger numbers than we have. We heard from our survey that brokers wanted the consumer to be first. So no confusing tiers of promotion, display ads, just a clean performant experience. And that's what we've tried to create and set the tone with that, even on the homepage. So let's go into the property section. I'll do the same here on mobile. And the reason I have this mobile screen open is that right now over 60% of our traffic is mobile. It's certainly been the trend for years. So I'm going to highlight how that experience compares to desktop. We've worked hard to craft something that feels streamlined. However, we are also working on a native mobile application that we believe will be the first in our space. Our engagement rate is quite high, and we're continually measuring and iterating to keep users on site connecting with relevant listings. Notice that as I navigate to these sections, the site is location aware even without any input, again, trying to get people where they want to go. We also, aside from surfacing promoted listings where we can, we have a proprietary scoring system that tries to score the quality of listings. That way we can promote listings that have the most completeness. So we do have a number of advanced filters here, which is something we heard from brokers that they want. Everything from the format, we support sales, auctions, and leases, the 4 categories of land that we market, and then granular information around tags, keyword searches. If you want to exclude structures, for instance, and just want vacant land, all of that's available. On the mobile side of things, we've worked really hard in general to make sure that everything is very fast and performant. We have some features that some of our competitors don't. We really try to let users interact with listings as much as possible before they click into a property. And again, by having so many properties, that becomes a possibility for us. So once you have discovered a property that you want to see on a map, you can click up here on the map, or you can click on this little pinpoint. That will load in a map, and we have a fully functional responsive experience for properties that feels as native as we could make it feel for a responsive website. So, you know, navigating from property to property is very fast. So if I click into a property, and I navigate through it, and obviously, as you can see, it's very well laid out on mobile. All I have to do is click out of that property, and I'm right back where I left off. So a very fluid experience. On the desktop side of things, there's not a whole lot that you can do on desktop that's not available on mobile. But obviously, with more screen real estate, we do have a few things. For instance, you have this 3D view. And as you can see, we have a national database of structured data, parcel information. Both on mobile and on desktop, you have the ability to interact with different layers on the map and different functionality. So we have our parcel inspector, for instance, where you can get information as you're browsing about individual parcels and attributes of those parcels. And then we have different layers available. One that we added fairly recently was, I'll zoom out here a little bit, is internet speed, for instance. We added that in addition to our flood zone hydrography layers. And of course, you can see topography and satellite views. But in rural areas, it's nice to get a sense for what type of internet might be available in that area. So we get that information from the FCC. This is really just the start for us. We're going to be adding a lot of additional functionality to the map over time. Another thing that you have on desktop is the ability to interact with a table view here. If we zoom out a little bit, Again, performance is super critical for us. So one thing that we've done is tried to make sure that any search that you perform, any action that you take, happens very quickly. So just as an example, maybe we'll say agricultural properties. You can see how quickly the results in the map update. Maybe we'll say 1,000+ acre agricultural properties. So again, it's very much instantaneous across hundreds of thousands of properties. Let's do a search here. Did I search for the right place? Oh, I'm searching for 1,000 acre agricultural property. That's not going to work. Let me reset that criteria. Okay, so I just did a search in Colorado. In general, since March, there are dozens of additional improvements that we've made to the property section. So definitely, if you haven't visited since, take a look. Let's find a property and click in on it. Select a property here. We've made improvements to the property detail page. We've given media more room. We've added thumbnail views to the property page. Note that we, in addition to having, of course, maps and street views, we also have support unlimited images, videos, links, attachments. We also integrate with YouTube, Vimeo, MapRight, TerraStride, Matterport. If I click in on a property here, as you can see, there are individual profile pages for agents. So you can see all of an agent's listings. You can interact with their map. Everything's fully functional here. And then we also have profile pages at the team level as well, where you can see an entire team's listings. You can see the team members. If there's any reviews available, all of that's visible. And when you're done navigating a property or having clicked through profiles, you can close out that property, and again, you're just right where you left off. Just to give you a sense for the agent directory as a whole, we have over 30,000 profiles currently, and you can do searching around specialties of land, locations, obviously, keyword search. We do promote featured brokers and agents first, and also have quality scores for profile completeness as well. One thing that we're also doing is that we're in the process of preloading lenders and service professionals, which is really just a first step in our vision to help consumers with the entire life cycle of land ownership. So let me click into my account here. I'll just show a few things in here very quickly. The favorite section is really emulates the property section as a whole. So it's map based by default. It syncs the left and the right panels. So it's very easy to see and manage your favorites. Save searches, for instance, are also very easy. So any search that you make on the front end with any amount of criteria can be saved. So it's easy to come in here and rename them, to change your email frequency, anything like that. We've tried to create a very seamless experience. And then the last thing real quick in here I'll show is my profile. So all users have access to a basic profile, but if you are an industry professional, you can select your profile type. If you're an agent, you have access to select which specialties you have, which could be all land, and that's fine. You can select your primary location, fill out your contact information and bio. One thing that we have heard from brokers already that we're working on is, we're adding the ability to add additional service areas. So if you do cover a large territory, an entire region of a state, for instance, you can go in there and select other areas where you need to be represented in the directory. We're also going to allow adding professional designations, and then we're going to allow agents to post reviews that we will verify pre-existing client reviews for their profile page. To wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about where we're going. We hope to house the largest inventory of land-centric properties soon and encourage more of what's a fragmented, listing marketplace scattered around the internet, or maybe they're just on roadway signs, to come together in one place by keeping the barrier to entry very low. We capture granular analytics down to the interaction with individual media on listings. We're actually working on a robust data-driven listing dashboard that can actually make recommendations on listing adjustments for a higher quality score and increased conversion. We do, of course, surface high-level statistics currently, but we'll be improving on that. Having a national parcel database, we'll be leveraging our data sets for the ability to add on optional direct mail and automated pay-per-click campaigns tied to your individual listings. So our goal is to keep our business model very simple for on-site promotion, but then give you the opportunity to drive more outside traffic into your individual properties. Besides these things, we have a backlog of over 100 suggestions to incorporate more relevant data at the location and listing level, as well as introduce additional creative marketing channels. We're pushing fixes and improvements on a near daily basis. We actually have a release log that's transparent on our website that outlines major changes that we make over time. To get started with posting for free, there are a few options. The first is we allow direct XML feeds that are similar to our competitors. The spec is fully documented on our website, and will help guide you through the process as much as possible. We process changes every 2 hours to ensure timely updates. Something we heard from brokers is lacking on some other platforms. If your listings are listed with an MLS, we can likely accept them through ListHub, or we can work directly with your MLS on syndication. One thing just to note, because it's been a concern for some agents, we can overwrite attributes. So for instance, if your concern is the MLS data may not be completely accurate or maybe leaving off important attributes, you can actually merge in particular overwrite data. For instance, you could tag your properties with certain tags that we support that we can't get from the MLS feed, while your MLS feed continues to be refreshed every 2 hours. And finally, we're going to start opening our manual posting beta. We've purposely launched without that just to kind of ease into things. We're going to be launching that in the next couple of weeks. We've worked really hard to ensure that is the hands down the best, most streamlined process in the industry. This is just the first step of a kind of a simple 4-step process. So it's very easy to just come through here and visually make all the selections with auto completes, drag and drop throughout the entire submission process. A common question after the last presentation was, well, if you allow posting for free, how do you make money? So I'll just go to this advertise page here. Our approach to on-site promotion is simple. Within reason, we push promoted listings to users both in the directory and throughout the site that may be interested in those properties. And then we drive inbound traffic specifically to those markets with SEO and pay-per-click initiatives and social. We don't have display ads anywhere, as you saw, and you can't outrank another listing by paying more. So we're not trying to hedge brokers against each other to extract more money. Our goal is to match users to the best user experience and the most relevant listings. Pricing is transparent on our website, as you can see. We offer an annual discount and discounts for teams with at least 10 users. There's no negotiation with the sales executive. The same pricing applies to everybody. This year is all about investment for us, and we'd certainly love to have support from some of you. We really want to have a relationship with land sellers, a partnership to advocate for land ownership. We're excited about not just intercepting land buyers online, but making land ownership more approachable to a broader audience. We sweat the small stuff. We have very ambitious plans for our site, and we're never going to sit back and call it done. We really want to lead innovation in the market. I appreciate your time today. We'd certainly love to hear from any of you and help get you on board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. We will now move into the Q&A section of this webinar. So if you have not already submitted your questions for either of our presenters, please do so now in the Q&A box, which you may see the logo at the bottom of your screen. So if you have a question, please pop it in there. I also on the screen have shared with you both Luke and Michael's information. So even after today's call, if you have any questions for them or would like additional information, please do not hesitate to reach out to them. And then let me check to see if there are any questions. Yes, we have one question here from one of our attendees. They're asking, I'm not sure which one this question is for, if it's for Luke or Michael, but they're asking, how do you handle buyer leads?
From our part, we really don't get into buyer leads. We don't get in the middle of that process. So we don't, your email address, your website, your phone number is all on your profile page. It's all on all of your individual listings. If somebody fills out a form on one of your listings or your profile, that email goes directly to you.
Great, wonderful, thank you. And then we have another question here. This one is for Luke. How far outside of a city are solar farms generally located, and what's the furthest away they can be? Oh. Luke, I think we lost you. Ooh.
All right, I'm back. Generally think about all the counties that touch a greater metro area as viability. Now, generally, you could have a solar farm that sits in Oklahoma, putting power into the grid, and the grid is, connected across the country. But typically, they want to be able to sell the power more locally, where it's generated than that. So think about all the counties that touch a greater metro area as a general rule. But look, this Western New York deal that we just did, it's kind of literally in the middle of nowhere. So I wouldn't limit myself either to say, hey, I'm in rural America, or I'm in rural Oklahoma, or I'm in rural Pennsylvania, because the solar developers are looking to get the lowest cost solar farm that they can, that gets power into the grid where there's capacity on the line, and that they can sell back to the utility at those wholesale rates. So don't limit yourself, but it will be more lucrative the closer to a metro area it can be. There'll just be more deals typically, but I wouldn't limit myself.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Like I said, feel free if you do, pop it into the Q&A box. And then once again, I have our presenters' information up on the screen. If you have any additional questions after today's webinar or would like additional information, feel free to reach out to them. Let me see. It doesn't look like we have any additional questions. So I'd like to thank you both, Luke with RealX and Michael with LandSearch, for participating in our Land Technology Accelerator program webinar for today. And as I mentioned, if you, any of you all have questions or would like additional information from them, please do not hesitate to reach out to them. And then I just want to make a quick mention that today's webinar has been recorded, and a recording of this will be made available within the next couple days on our RLI webinar archive webpage. I'll also send out an email as well, letting you all know when the recording is available to watch. And so once again, thank you to Luke with RealX and Michael with LandSearch for participating today. And I would like to also thank you all for attending today's webinar. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.